it.
I think that competition is amazing. We're now here to celebrate an absolutely amazing record of nearly 60 years in the music business, and there are very few people who can rival our next guest, Tony Blackburn, not only in his presentational skills, but his musical knowledge. I know you laugh and you make light of it, but sir, we are in the presence of genius. We are in the presence of genius.
I've been very lucky, you know, 57 years actually on Sunday. I was out there in the North Sea, off the coast of 3.5 miles off the coast of Frinton in Essex, where I eventually ended up shipwrecked. But
funny you should say that. The year was 1964, and this is how it was recorded on newsreel. Here we go.
Prepare yourself for modern-day piracy. Radio Caroline. Believe it or not, this is the broadcasting station afloat. The pirate station in the North Sea, just comfortably anchored in international waters 3.5 miles off Frinton. The 8 disc jockeys work a week's stint out here and then get a week's holiday. And the same applies to the 10-man crew, who are all Dutch.
A lot of people won't understand why there was need for pirate radio. Yeah. What was pirate radio all about?
Well, we just had the BBC in those days, and we wanted to break the monopoly a little bit, and so we went 3.5 miles out into the coast, and that was in territorial waters. And so we flew under the Panamanian flag, which meant that anybody from this country, if they boarded that ship, it was like declaring war on Panama.
Yes, yes.
So we didn't. So we used to go through customs. We were meant to go to Holland, but we never actually got there. We stopped off and played these. It was just so much fun.
Then the BBC thought, if you can't beat them, join them. Then really, the BBC signed you up then afterwards.
Well, they did. Eventually, we all ended up at the BBC, creating another monopoly because commercial radio didn't come in for a time. But honestly, it was so much fun out there.
And who were your contemporaries then? Who was out there?
Simon D. Eventually, I joined another ship called Big L Radio London, which was my favourite. People like Kenny Everett, Dave Cash, and all these people. Yeah, I mean, it was just... I was out there for 3 years, and it was just terrific fun. And, you know, I was 21 years old then. And but then after 3 years, you know, we thought, oh, I wouldn't mind being ashore again. So we used to do 2 weeks on the ship and a week off.
Amazing.
And it was just great. And
would you go as far to say as it was sensational?
Sensational.
Sensational. There's a lovely thing about your voice, your lilt, the way you say things. I mean, it's quite unique. It is yours. Did you practice that? Was there a way of being a DJ?
Unfortunately not, Eammon. It's just me. I want to apologise for it. No, it's just I've always been quite enthusiastic about... I love music and I love radio and, you know, the media that we're in. And so I just enjoyed everything. And people say, you know, I don't put this voice on. Mind you, I don't talk like this at home. You know, hello, Debbie, how are you? So it's slightly put on at home. That would get really irritating. So I just like to go on the radio and irritate people for a short time.
No, but you're very passionate about what you do. You said 57 years. And you've chosen 6 songs through the decades of your favourites, hence we have the jukebox. So we're starting with At the Hop by Danny and the Juniors. So let's listen to a bit of that and you can tell us why you love it. Before we were born.
Let's all do the hop. Let's all do the hop, oh baby. Let's all do the hop. Why that one? Why that one?
Well, I was brought up in the 50s, before you were born, as you said.
Only just.
But well, I was at Bournemouth Pavilion. I started off as a singer and a guitarist, and I was at college studying accountancy, actually, funny enough.
Oh, how it could have been so different.
Oh, I know. I missed out so much. But so I was at the Bournemouth Pavilion, and this particular record was on the old Radio Luxembourg, which do you remember that?
Yeah, of course.
It used to fade in and out, and I was on that station for a time as well. And that record, to me, just represents the 50s. It was fun, and I can't play it on the sound of the 60s on Radio 2 because it's the 50s.
Yes, it is.
But it's a record that I absolutely love.
Well, also the 50s is this one, Reet Petite by Jackie Wilson. This is when I wish I could jive.
Oh, jive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why this one?
This one, well, my dad was a doctor down in Poole, and he loved Jackie Wilson. And I think it's practically the only record he ever bought. And we used to play it over and over again, and it really introduced me to soul music, which has been my passion all my life. And I love Jackie Wilson. I mean, he was doing a show once, I understand, and one of the audience shot him. He survived it, But that's why when I'm on stage myself, I always keep moving. It's very
Don't be
important.
a target.
Yeah. But Jackie Wilson, I think, was one of the great singers of all time. Yeah. And I never met him, but he was absolutely fabulous. And I love his music, and I love soul music.
And the responsibility and the influence of disc jockeys like yourself on radio. Talking about one of the greatest singers of all time, Diana Ross. Now, you were responsible for having this particular song that we're listening here, I'm Still Waiting, which is quite an emotional love song. You were responsible for having that released in the UK?
Yes, I was, because I heard it on... I was putting one of my soul shows together at home, and I was going through the albums, and the Diana Ross album was there, and I heard this song, and nobody realised how great it was. And I rung Motown up, and I said, I think you've got a hit on this album. And they said, you really should release it as a single. So they rung Diana Ross up, and she said, well, if he thinks that it's going to be a hit, then fine, you know, release it. And it was a #1 hit in this country, and I think it probably got to #1 in America as well.
And did you meet Diana?
Sorry?
Did you meet her?
Yes, yeah, I toured with Diana Ross and the Supremes, actually, yes. I was on tour in the 70s with her. We did a very short tour, but it was... she was lovely, very shy person, actually.
Let's hear why it did get to #1. Here it is, Diana Ross, I'm Still Waiting.
Love that, love that.
It's a beautiful song, yeah.
Now, your fourth choice, interesting. So I'm thinking, you know, we're looking past artists, which is Bruno Mars. Let's have a listen to this, Leave the Door Open. Interestingly, you know, so many of us oldies, we go, they don't make them like they used to anymore. They don't write them like they used to anymore, but they do.
I've never said to my children they don't write songs like they used to, because when we play the 60s music, we're playing the best of the music. But there's so many talented people nowadays, and Bruno Mars and the Silk Sonic, it is there. I just love the soulness of him, you know, and the video's great. And that's what music should be all about. And when you hear that one, it makes you feel, or it makes me feel happy.
And also, with Bruno Mars, he reminds me of James Brown, some of his faster stuff. He's really cool.
Oh, James Brown. You went to one of his concerts, did you?
No, I've never seen James Brown.
Oh, I saw James Brown. He's exhausting to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, he's absolutely... I mean, he's amazing on stage. It's like he's been plugged into the electricity. And... when he's finished his show, I was absolutely exhausted. I don't know what he must have felt.
He felt,
no, great performer. Now, this is a very special song for you we're going to play. Now, we'll listen to it first, and then you tell us the story behind this one. This is The Move, and the song is Flowers in the Rain.
I'm just sitting, watching flowers in the rain, feel the power of the rain, making the garden grow. I'm just sitting, watching flowers in the rain,
OK, why that one?
Well, that was the one that I opened up Radio 1 with when I'd finished the pirate radio. It all came to sort of an end in 1967. It staggered on, but we'd all left by then. And I was asked to open up Radio 1.
With that?
Well, yes, I chose that record because of the crashing sound at the beginning. I thought it was a lovely record to start off with, and it was a hit at the time anyway.
Yeah.
So, and somebody said to me, you know, opening up Radio 1, it was not just opening a station, it was like a career. And it's turned out that way, you know.
Gosh.
And it was wonderful to open up the first national pop station in the country. And well, I'm on now Radio 2, of course, but Radio 2 is probably a little bit what Radio 1 used to be like.
Yeah. You know, it is interesting. Music tastes have changed over the years, and then maybe they just remain constant. I don't know. Things change, trends change. For you to last 60 years is a tremendous tribute.
Well,
is it because of your knowledge, as Ruth was saying there? Is it because, you know, music is music at the end of the day, and if you like music, you like all sorts of music?
Well, I think when you like music and when you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I opened up Radio 1, a journalist said to me, what will you be doing this time next year? Yeah. And I thought, well, I'd quite like to be doing what I'm doing, but it's gone on for a long time, and And, you know, the audiences, I mean, we're doing a Sound of the 60s show, you know, in theatres. We've been doing that for the last year, not this last pandemic, of course, but we're coming back on August the 12th in the South End at the Cliffs Pavilion. I've got an orchestra there and singers, and I come out and talk about the 60s, and it's just great, and we tour all around the country, and it's quite a big show.
Well, talking about the 60s, just your final one, because we are running out of time, sadly, because we literally could spend all day doing this. It's so interesting. I'm taking you back to where it all began, Radio Caroline, 1964. This is Ragdoll by the Four Seasons. Four Seasons, huge fan. Huge.
No, there is nothing like music to affect your mood, you know, for better or for worse. And it's been joyous talking to you, and good memories for you then, that Ragdoll.
Oh, terrific. I mean, that particular song was the very first record I played 57 years ago on Sunday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Radio Caroline. So, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, I just love their music.
Me too. Are you going to play that again?
Valli, actually, and I told him that was the first record I ever played. And it didn't really interest him very much.
Well, listen, it interests us. Everything you do interests us. Will you play that when you're celebrating 57 years this Sunday?
I am going to play it on one of my shows.
That's lovely to hear. Yeah. And could I just ask you finally and briefly, nearly 20 years ago since you won I'm a Celebrity.
Oh, yes.
In the Jungle. Did that set you in a different direction? Did that press a reset button or...?
Yeah, it was like, I mean, I'm not actually religious at all, but it was like a... I don't know, when I was in there were no phones, nothing to bother you. And I was sitting by the side of the stream talking to Nell McAndrew, and which was very enjoyable. And the whole thing just, I don't know, it just altered me as a person very much. I loved the Jungle, I loved it. And when I came out of it, there was a dear old man who came over when I was filling the car up and said to me, he came over and he said, you know, you have done so much for our generation. Oh. And I thought, well, I was about 10 years younger than him, but I thought it was so lovely. I got back in the car and I sort of cried a little bit. It was so emotional. But it was a lovely show to do. I thoroughly recommended Eammon and
Well, listen,
Ruth.
you've done so much for music as well.
And for different generations.
We'd love hearing all your favourites through the decades. Sounds of the 60s with Tony. 12th of August, South End Cliffs Pavilion.
That's
and then
right,
you're this Sunday, Radio 2. What time?
Radio 2?
Yeah.
Well, tonight I'm on at 7 o'clock. And tomorrow, Sound of the 6 is 6 in the morning.
6 in the morning.
Yeah, so I have to get up probably as early as you.
Yeah, if it's any consolation, I will be up and out as well. So I'll be listening to you in the
We're all
car.
still going. We're all still hanging on.
Oh, good idea, good idea.
Tony, thank you so much.
Before the traffic builds up on the M25. Lovely talking to you.
Lovely talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Talking of people going away, moving about.